Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping right into a really key moment in the federal case against Sean Diddy Combs.
Yeah, specifically Cassie Ventura's testimony. It's absolutely central.
And we're focusing on her cross-examination. The charges Diddy's facing are, well, they're incredibly serious.
Extremely. Sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy. That's basically a pattern of criminal activity and transportation for prostitution.
Potential life sentence hanging over this.
Exactly. And what's really interesting now is we're looking at the defense's first chance to question Cassie directly.
Right, this was Thursday, May 15th. Her third day testifying overall, but the first day of cross-examination. A big moment to see their strategy unfold.
Definitely. And to figure out what happened, we've been looking at, the news reports, TMZ, 2Fab for those quick hits.
And also CNN's live coverage, their summaries. Try to get the full picture.
So our goal here really is to unpack the main arguments, the key things that came out during this cross-examination.
We want to give you, the listener, a clear sense of what went down at this critical stage.
Okay, so the defense's approach. It seems like right off the bat, they aimed to frame these freak-off sessions differently.
Oh, so?
Well, as consensual. Like, Diddy's a swinger. This is something adults were doing together, not criminal coercion.
Okay. And how did they try to back that up?
A lot of focus on messages, texts, emails between Cassie and Diddy, especially from the early days.
Like specific examples?
Yeah, they showed one from August 2009. Cassie texting Diddy, "I'm always ready to freak off."
Ah, okay. The idea being, look, she was into this then.
Precisely. They're hoping that casts doubt on her later claims that she was forced or felt coerced.
And it wasn't just showing the messages, right? They questioned her about that.
Oh, yeah. They asked about her sort of initial enthusiasm, the open communication back then about these freak-offs.
They even brought up an email, didn't they? Where she talked about needing to feel safe.
That's right. Needing to feel safe, to be more open sexually. And the defense, tried to contrast that with her testimony now, where she talks about feeling dirty and grimy afterwards.
So it's this tactic of showing an evolution, or maybe trying to paint her current testimony as inconsistent with her past self.
Exactly. Building this picture of, well, maybe early on there was mutual willingness. They even showed a message from March 2017.
What did that one say?
Cassie saying, "I love our freak-offs when we both want it," which, directly challenges the prosecution's line that these became a kind of obligation, a job for her.
But how did Cassie respond to that 2017 message? Because that sounds quite direct.
Her testimony was that by that point, those expressions, they were just words, that her outward communication wasn't really reflecting how she felt inside anymore.
That really highlights the complexity, doesn't it? Interpreting old messages when the power dynamics might have shifted so much.
It's a huge challenge. And the defense didn't stop there. They tried to poke holes in other parts of her story, too.
Right, these sort of inconsistencies they tried to highlight, like the incident on the balcony with her friend.
Yeah, that one. The defense showed a text message Cassie apparently sent to Diddy's chief of staff.
And what did it suggest?
It suggested she only found out about the incident after it happened.
Which clashes with her testimony in court, where she said she actually saw it happen.
Exactly. So the defense uses that discrepancy, however small it might seem, to try and chip away at her credibility overall.
Makes sense from their perspective. Did they bring up anything else around that incident?
Yeah. They asked if she was on drugs that night, which then opened the door to more general questions about drug use in the relationship.
What was mentioned?
Ketamine use by Cassie. And they brought up Diddy's alleged opiate dependence.
Okay. And then there was that whole thing with the baby oil. That seemed odd.
It was quite something, yeah. The defense asked her to confirm the oil wasn't laced with drugs.
Okay, fair enough, maybe. But then?
Then they suggested the huge amounts found at his places could have been for filling a baby pool.
A baby pool? Seriously?
Yeah. The judge actually sustained an objection to that question, stopped that line of questioning. But it was definitely memorable.
Wow. What else did they try to pick at?
They went back to her testimony about Suge Knight being nearby once.
Yeah.
Pointed out an investigator's report that apparently had a different account of whether she was in the car at the time compared to what she recalled on the stand.
So again, trying to create doubt about the accuracy of her memory.
Seems to be the pattern, yes.
Yeah.
Questioning the details to potentially undermine the bigger picture she's painting.
Okay, let's shift a bit. They also talked about the actual romantic relationship, right? Not just the freak-off.
Yes, definitely. They brought up times they'd said, "I love you," asked about her initial feelings for him.
And what did she say about those early feelings?
Described him as, sweet, attentive, charismatic back then.
It's a common defense tactic, isn't it?
Mhm.
Show the good times, the affection, to make the later claims of abuse seem less plausible, or at least more complicated.
Absolutely. Complicate the narrative. They also got into jealousy.
On whose part?
Both sides, apparently. Cassie admitted feeling jealous of Kim Porter and someone else named Gina.
And Diddy. Was he portrayed as jealous too?
Yeah, the defense brought up his suspicions about Cassie's relationships with Michael B. Jordan and Kid Cudi.
Wait, Michael B. Jordan. When was that supposed to have been?
Cassie confirmed Diddy suspected her while she was filming Honey 3 in South Africa back in 2016.
Interesting. And the Kid Cudi relationship.
She apparently got a burner phone to hide that relationship from Diddy.
Wow. So lots of complex dynamics. Jealousy, suspicion.
Yeah, and you can see how the defense might try to spin that as, well, maybe a rocky relationship, but a relationship nonetheless, not just victim and abuser.
Or the prosecution could argue it shows control and possessiveness.
Exactly. It cuts both ways. They also touched on her wanting a relationship with Diddy's kids, apparently. A 2013 message showed she was frustrated about that.
Okay, let's circle back to the freak-offs specifically. Did we get more detail on what those actually entailed during the cross-examination?
Cassie reiterated her definition: sexual encounters involving third parties, directed by Diddy, and she said it eventually became her job to organize them.
Her job. Wow. And she mentioned how long they could last.
The longest, she testified, went on for 4 days.
4 days? That's intense.
Very. And again, the defense hammered on that idea of open communication early on, using those messages where she stated her needs or desires related to them.
But Cassie's counter was that she needed substances to cope.
Yes. She testified using marijuana, ketamine, mushrooms to get through them, and mentioned negative health effects, too.
And the baby oil thing came up again in this context, beyond the pool idea.
Yeah, the detail about Diddy wanting it heated, used frequently. And apparently Cassie had to find and vet male escorts for these sessions.
She had to vet them. How?
She testified she even had to make sure they weren't undercover cops.
That detail, I mean, even if she was organizing it, having to check for cops really underscores the illicit feeling, doesn't it? From her perspective, at least.
It certainly adds another layer to the prosecution's argument about coercion and the nature of these events.
Were there other areas of control discussed beyond the sexual aspects?
Oh, yes. Her career, for one. She testified Diddy basically stifled her music career despite having a supposed 10-album deal.
Hindered her releases.
Yeah, and controlled her daily life, too. Talked about busy work, constant monitoring.
Sounds exhausting. What about her appearance?
That, too. Testimony suggested Diddy had strong opinions, controlled what she wore. She even sent him photos of outfits for approval, apparently.
Right, so it paints a picture of pretty pervasive control.
That's certainly the narrative the prosecution is building, and this testimony seems to support it.
Okay, shifting to the courtroom atmosphere itself.
Bruh.
How is Diddy reportedly acting?
Descriptions say he was serious, attentive, passing notes to his legal team frequently. His family was also there showing support.
And there's some time pressure here with Cassie's testimony.
Yeah, that's a significant factor. The judge is apparently urging things along because Cassie is pregnant.
Ah, okay. Concerns she might go into labor.
Seems to be the worry, yeah. The judge explicitly said they want her off the stand by Friday.
So the cross-examination continues tomorrow, Friday, and then what happens?
After the defense finishes, prosecutor Emily Johnson gets to do a redirect examination, expected to be about an hour.
Right, a chance for the prosecution to clarify things brought up in cross-ex. And we're also expecting other witnesses.
Yes, singer Don Richard is expected to testify at some point as well.
One last thing. The civil suit settlement came up.
It did. The defense asked Cassie if she thought Diddy's career was ruined after her lawsuit, the one that settled for a reported $20 million, became public.
But the prosecution already brought that up, didn't they?
They did, yeah, during their direct examination. It's a tactic called drawing the sting, bring it up yourself, to lessen the impact when the other side does.
Got it. So, wrapping up our look at this first day of cross-examination, it's really a clash of narratives.
Absolutely. Defense, consensual, if maybe unconventional, relationship, especially early on. Prosecution, escalating control, coercion, and abuse.
And this cross-examination is set to continue tomorrow, Friday, with that deadline looming.
It's incredibly complex. You have these text messages, past interactions being shown, but interpreted totally differently by each side. The jury has a tough job.
Definitely. And that leaves us, and you listening, with this thought. As we see more evidence like these past communications surface, how does the presentation and interpretation of that evidence, alongside the power dynamics discussed, shape your own understanding of consent versus coercion in these really complicated situations?
Yeah, what does this specific cross-examination really tell us about the challenges, the inherent difficulties in trying to determine agency and truth when looking back at events through such different lenses?